Today on Piedini doing stuff and filming it, this fella needs a new place to live. Okay, so today, as the title probably suggests, we are going to be finding a new pot for this ever-growing cactus. Now this is, well, my partner named it Esteban, the cactus, and it was a birthday present from myself to them. It is now, if I don't know if I've mentioned this in earlier videos or if you've seen them, my partner is from New Mexico in the United States, and they have cactuses there. It's the desert, and this is one of the types of cactus that can be found growing there. They're native to that part of the world and that part of the country. Now, when I bought it as a birthday present, we had just these two, I don't know if you call them leaves, these two bits of it here. And within a few weeks, we then had this one and this one had attached to it. And it's been, well, at least a year. And then more recently, we've had this one appear. And then this is the most recent addition. And this is how this type of cactus grows. You get these spades, these plates, I'll call them leaves, bollocks, they're leaves. And they sort of grow off, and eventually it will be huge. It'll be a massive plant. Now, it's still in the pot that it came in, which has been fine for a long time, but it's really starting to outgrow it now. There's only so much nutrition in this soil, and whilst they're designed to exist in less than ideal plant conditions, there's limits to them, so it needs repotting, does this. The other thing is it's getting so tall and heavy now that it's starting, you can see it's wobbling. It's not entirely stable in that pot anymore. So what we're going to do is we're going to get it into this nice new one. Now, I've gone with a trough because this plant lives on a windowsill, so I couldn't go with just a larger pot because it wouldn't fit, and I don't have anywhere else to keep it that provides, the right amount of warmth and sunlight that this plant needs. So it's going in a trough on its own, and to do that we're going to need, obviously, a cactus, obviously a bigger pot. We've got some compost here. This is just ordinary compost. I got it from Wilco's because it was cheap. It's a container and basket planting mix. Well, it's soil. It's not good. It's going in a container of sorts, I suppose. And we've got some sand. And now they normally grow in quite sandy soil in the desert. And when I've repotted cactuses before, I try and get a good mix. Try and go for about 50-50 between sand and soil. So it's a bit more like what they're adapted to being in. I mean, you could just put them straight into normal soil. They'll do fine in it. They're not like some plants. Like I have a couple of carnivorous plants here, which will die if you put them in normal soil. It actually rots the roots away. You have to plant them in a special type of soil with next to no nutrition in it, like peat moss type soil. Cactuses will do fine in ordinary soil, but I do like to sort of mix it with sand. And the other thing you're going to need, obviously, is some gloves. Now, for handling cactuses, I've found the rubber chemical gloves work best. Even your really thick suede gardening gloves, the spikes will get through as you're handling it. These seem to do well. They're not perfect, but they will do the job. The only snag is you will get very sweaty wearing these, especially in this heat. It's 34 degrees out here at the moment. I do want to be out in the garden and working on that properly, but it's just so hot. It's just not safe to be doing that. So we're going to do this outside, and then we're going to go inside and lie on the floor and sweat ourselves to death. So that's what you need. Let's get on with it. One other thing to point out when you're handling these is, the spikes. Obvious, yeah, I know, but just look at them closely. Now, we're here at the very top leaf of the plant, and because it shows exactly what we're looking at, really. You notice the spikes are in these like little clumps. Now, they all seem to face one direction here, which is interesting. I'm guessing that's because I know if something comes down, tries to eat them, it's going to then try and pull back and they'll dig in. But you'll notice each one has one, maybe two thick spikes. And if we look down the bottom, you can see they're really sort of thick, almost like wood, that are sticking out. Those aren't my immediate concern, because if you get stuck with them, it's going to hurt. If you really get stuck hard, it might bleed. But that's about the end of the matter. The bit that you have to watch out for is these fine ones, almost like hair, and they may not look like much. Look on the edge here, but they will still break the skin, but then they'll break off and get under the skin, and it's horrible. It hurts like hell for ages. Imagine getting a splinter but sharper and impossible to remove, and it'll just be there for weeks. It's a pain in the arse, or pin in the hand, or pin in wherever it sticks you. So that's just what you've got to be aware of. It's not the big spiky ones, although they will get you. It's not the end of the world. It's the little ones that will ruin your entire week. And you see here at the very top, there's loads of them. I've noticed that's what this plant seems to do. I think we're going to have another leaf branching out of there. When it's about to do that, you get loads. Right, that's testament to how friggin' hot it is out here. Camera just cut out because it was overheating. Yeah, so threw the camera in the fridge to cool it down and rearranged some of my camera angles so I can leave the camera in the shade. Hopefully it doesn't do that again whilst I'm doing something. Anyway, as I was saying, I've noticed that's what happens. You get loads and loads of spikes along here, and it's almost like it forms a flower, and then it will just suddenly sprout an extra leaf out of that spot. And the spikes that were clumped up almost then get like pulled and spread out along the surface of the new leaf. So that's enough talking about this cactus. Let's hurry up and get it repotted. Camera's complaining again, device too hot, quality may be affected. This may not go too well. There may end up being sections missing. But we'll do it anyway. Let's get on with it. Right then. Now I'm going to try and speak up because the camera's a bit further away than I wanted for this. But it's just overheating as I'm trying to record, which isn't ideal. I'm trying to make a video. If the camera doesn't work, can't do it. So what we are going to do, we need to mix up a soil. Now, as I said, I'm going to go for about 50-50 sand to soil mixture with this. We may as well mix it straight in the pot. Hello, Bella. May as well mix it straight in the pot because it's going to be filled up anyway. And then we're going to very gently move the cactus into the pot. I know, Bella. I know. It's warm out here, isn't it? I think it might be best if you stay inside today. Not that you're going to listen to me, are you? There's a reason I call you Bellend. Actually, changed my mind. What I shall do instead is get the cactus in the pot first, and then make the soil around it. Yes, that is what I shall do, and the reason will be clear in just a moment. Put this out the way for now. Over there, and that. These gloves are red hot, I left them in the sun. Whoops. Now, I don't know much about the strength of a cactus such as this. Now, if I just move it, it wobbles. It's certainly flexible. Now, they do have weather in the desert. It's not just endless sun. They have wind and occasional rain and such like. So it must have some strength to it to withstand those sorts of things. But these things take years to grow. And if I damage it, and it dies, I've got to start all over again. And like I say, this was actually a birthday present to my partner, so I want to be careful with it. So what we're going to do is lay it flat and then we're just going to slide it up to the pot and then bring it up as one, supporting its weight as we go. And yeah, hopefully we won't get pricked so much and we won't damage it in any way. And then the other thing is, I don't quite know how I would pick something like this up either, if I wanted to just lift it out one end to the other. So this is the only way I can think to do this. Right, let's get this out of the way for now. Turn it around. Now these spikes are already starting to dig into the rubber. Oh, there we go. There's one already stuck in the glove. This thing wants to fall over as well. Right, let's try gently bringing it down. Hopefully it doesn't prick me too much. Oh, I can feel it coming through the glove. Ow, ow, that's quite painful. Gently down. There we go. Right, this is what you need to watch out for. Get that in shot. You see, they're all just stuck in the rubber of the glove. A few of the thicker spikes did get through and get me in the finger, not too bad. Yeah, imagine having those stuck under your skin. Let's just take those out, shall we? You see all those pictures of dogs doing it, get their face stuck in something like this. And they're covered in spikes. I think sometimes it's porcupines or something like that, but you could do it with a cactus as well if you weren't careful. Hopefully. There we go. She slides right out of the pot. And you can see just by the roots as well. Roots on a cactus would normally spread out. In some cases I've heard of them spreading out for miles. You need huge root networks because they live in such dry climates. You know, so they're spreading right out to get as much moisture as they can. Now I've been watering this, so it's not the end of the world, but yeah, those roots they've all been packed together, which isn't good. And of course they are still pulling nutrition from the soil as well, so yeah, this is a good time to be doing this. And what we're going to do is basically just going to scoop it into there. And then we're just going to try and bring the girl upright again. This is the delicate bit, because I have to support all of its weight. Ow. Bastards. It's going to be more difficult than I thought. Look at all these fucking spikes. Better idea. Use tools, Stuart. Bring her up right now. There we go. There we go. Right. And now, just got to fill it in around the sides. To do that, we're going to mix our soil mixture. This does just look like normal soil that the garden centre have put it in. But we'll give it something a bit healthier to be growing in, shall we? I'm just going to find some way of propping it up first, though, because it's somewhat unstable at the moment. Go. Yeah, I don't think it's going to fall over. It's pretty well wedged in. Okay, right. We'll mix the soil in this box. For those of you watching at home, this is not the correct tool for the job. But I can't be asked to go look for my Stanley knife. So we shall open it with a saw. Oh, bollocks. Well, she's intact, but now on the floor. thankfully it doesn't look to have done any damage that I can see. I think this plant may be a bit more flexible than I give it credit for. I'm just going to lie it down whilst I do this. Yeah, there's a bit of a bend in this. Oh, deal with that later. Probably should have mixed my soil beforehand. You will need to start planning these things better, don't you? Just going to put clumps of it in and mix it up, and then we'll start to look on the camera something like that. I'll just keep adding soil until we get a sort of 50-50 mixture. There we are. That's about a 50-50 mix. You can see it's just nice sandy soil. That's what we like. Let's bring this thing back upright now, shall we? Should have put the second glove on for this. This is not going well so far. Alright. Some in this side as well. Let's do another mix. This stuff here, I didn't buy this sand. It's just ordinary builder's sand. Previous owner of the house left it behind. I just didn't bother to throw it away. It's actually coming quite handy. I've potted quite a few plants such as this with it. Yeah. It's just builder's sharp sand. I'm sure there are people out there that are probably pulling their hair. Oh, I was using that sand, you should use this sand. Oh, you use sand that comes from the moon. It's like, well, in my experience, it makes no fucking difference. Let's get a bit of soil in. I wouldn't worry too much about getting your soil and your mixtures and everything absolutely spot on. I'm only doing this roughly by eye. A cactus is actually quite a hardy plant. They are well adapted to surviving in any number of harsh conditions. They're not just found in deserts, and they're not actually as rare as you might think. They don't grow in Britain, at least not naturally anyway, but there are plenty of places around the world where they grow quite naturally and quite easily in all different types of soil and in surprisingly varied climates. And they will survive winter as well. I mean, try not to leave them outside in, say, like a British winter when it's all freezing for days and weeks on end. But don't worry too much about them being in the house through winter. You don't have to keep the house really warm or have sun lamps on them. Remember, it can get really fucking cold in a desert overnight. So they're adapted to it. Don't worry about it. Next lot going in. So I'm just going to angle that over slightly. It's there we go. Okay, looking good. Let's do a bit more. I want to fill it up to about this mark here, this line, so it's nice and full and solidly planted, and we'll get it back in the house. A bit more sand. There we go. Looking good. Maybe a bit bent over and leany, but the plant itself isn't damaged, it's just flexible. what we'll do is we'll just turn it around. Welcome back, and yeah, sorry about that. Camera cut out in the heat again. To be fair to it, it was red hot to handle, so it's done all right. Didn't really miss much though. I watered it another couple of times, and oh, what is it, Bella? Am I talking? Yeah, watered it a couple of times, and then I brought it inside. It's nice and shady and cool in here. The sun has moved around to the back of the house now. This is where she lives, along with all my other plants. We've got the Venus flytrap over there as well. Yeah, they get loads of sun in the mornings here. So yeah, them being in the shade now isn't the end of the world. As you can see, they're all flourishing. Every single one of these plants that you see on here was at least half the size when I bought it, if not smaller. Most of them were tiny, and you can see they're really going for it now. They all need a good water, but yeah, they are doing pretty well for themselves. So that's where she's going to live. I'm going to bring some sand in and do what I said I would do, the bit of landscaping. Like I say, it won't last. The terrarium, it didn't even last in the terrarium, and I had mesh dividers on the soil layers. But it'll probably look okay for a while, and I can always redo it later. So yeah, let's do that, and then we'll call it a day. Right, here we go. Bit of a desert landscape. I got some bits of decorative slate that I had lying around in the garden. Not really the right type of stone for doing a desert landscape, but sue me. Right in there. It is that hot out there, I have to keep changing hands. These stones are red hot. Oh, right, now we'll just sprinkle the sand over the top. This is a bit damp, this sand, because it was down the bottom of the bag, but it will dry out in time and it'll turn into a really light, fine dusting. I'm not going to worry too much about burying the rocks that I've just carefully placed, because again, as it turns into a fine dusting, it'll all sort itself out. Less than ideal. Oh, there it goes. Bloody hell. I'll have to hoover up after this. There we are. I'll just try and flatten it down a bit in places. Make sure we've got a nice even coating. A little bit of water will flatten it out. Oh, bloody hell. Getting it on the floor now as well. There we are. That didn't take too long. It didn't go too badly wrong either. Just got to put these towels down to have somewhat over watered and stuff overflowed out everywhere. That'll be alright, that happens. We'll mop it up later. That is how you repot a cactus. A couple of bloopers along the way. Dog barking her head off. Dropping the cactus. Trying to avoid that. Yeah, that's how you do it. Gently, with the proper PPE. And yeah, just don't be afraid to just go for it as well. That's the tripod you're licking, Belle. Right, yeah, thank you for watching.